Listen, everybody knows Darkseid is usually a powerhouse, needing the combined might of the entire Justice League to take on. But here, with the Chaos Emeralds, he is so much more powerful, but even with the help of other universal allies, as in the Hedgehog, Sonic, and them, even then they might not be enough to take on this empowered Darkseid. But this is AJ, here at the Hero Informer, and after a struggle with Darkseid barely getting away, the Justice League got separated and stranded from the other heroes, meaning Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, and Cyborg are now on a completely different Earth, Sonic's Earth, with one main and pretty simple task. Go ahead and gather all of the Chaos Emeralds and bring the fight back to Darkseid, which in theory is pretty simple. It's a fetch quest, though one on a completely new planet with physics and powers that they have never seen before. Not even to mention that Darkseid's forces are still pretty rampant and all across the globe here. But the League splits up, taking each corner of the globe one by one, finding each Chaos Emerald. Wonder Woman fighting against some of the female furies of Darkseid. She eventually is rewarded and given the Chaos Emerald from another character named Blaze the Cat. The other League members being no different. Batman now heading to fight Metal Sonic for the Chaos Emerald, which realistically speaking, there's no way Batman should even stand a chance, physically at least, against Metal Sonic, a robot that has been built to rival Sonic in not only speed but power. Now maybe if he were to infect the robot somehow with some advanced virus or using his genius to take him down that way, that would be more plausible. Instead here, Batman goes in for close quarter combat, using his gear, batarangs, and eventually just running him over with his motorcycle, which seems to be enough to down Metal Sonic and let Batman retrieve the Chaos Emerald. The Flash, of course, making light work of his own enemies, being too fast for anybody to even do anything, as he just yanks the emerald and moves on. Though because he completed his mission in, well, a flash, he takes the time to run around Sonic's world and just amazed by all of the running potential and obstacles it has. Superman, on the other hand, gets Dr. Eggman, Sonic's arch enemy, if you will. Superman just completely decimates any technology or defenses that Eggman could muster. Because while Sonic is faster than probably even Superman, he doesn't have the same strength and other abilities to just crumple through Eggman's tech and robots like Superman can. Clark even taking the time to question Eggman. Your entire world is being devoured and destroyed by Darkseid, yet people like you still pursue their ambitions to take over. Shouldn't self-preservation be your top goal? But him too, he gets the Chaos Emerald and makes it on his way, with John Stewart, the Green Lantern, doing the same, and eventually everybody meeting back up at the headquarters. Cyborg already having a plan and model in place to harness the power of the Chaos Emeralds to essentially open a wormhole or multiversal portal into the main DC universe for them to reconnect with Sonic and all of them, in which that's exactly what happens. The Hedgehogs finally make it back to their own Earth, still wearing their Justice League inspired costumes from their time protecting Earth, the DC Earth. And with everybody finally back together now in one piece, it's time for the final play in their plan, a direct attack on this now souped up, powered up Darkseid. With Darkseid currently channeling the energy of just one Chaos Emerald, he's not only pulling the planet apart, but Sonic's entire reality and universe into pieces. So they come up with another plan, another one that's pretty simple in idea, but in execution is heck of a lot harder. Because they have the superior numbers and even superior Chaos Emeralds, realistically all they have to do is go in there, confront Darkseid, use the Chaos Emeralds to draw out the one Darkseid is using, and then use that power to set everything straight and defeat him. Way easier said than done, but they wouldn't be the heroes of two separate universes if they didn't at least try, and that's exactly what we see. Of course, the Flash and Sonic are the first ones to make it and confront Darkseid because they're the two fastest on the team, but for Darkseid, this seems to be the thing he has hoped for. Essentially, the Justice League brought him the other tools, the other Chaos Emeralds, and the other great powerful artifacts for him to use and harness to not only destroy and lay waste to this world and universe, but plenty others after that, sending everybody into a state of full-on war and attack. If they are to even hope to match Darkseid, they have to hold nothing back. Keep him occupied the best they can while Cyborg and Tails use the other emeralds to connect with the last emerald Darkseid has to set everything straight. All while Darkseid is just, casually resisting and overpowering two lanterns with some of the most powerful artifacts of power on their fingers. Yet in this moment, Darkseid is distracted, long enough for Sonic to come blazing in and steal the Chaos Emerald from the palm of his hands. Cool, part one of the plan done. Now he just needs to get the last emerald with the rest of them so they can finally turn all this around. The only problem is it's too far up in the sky and Sonic has nothing to run on. But because reality is literally falling apart around them, physics are nothing more than a joke in here. So Flash comes up with a pretty interesting solution, literally matching each other step for step, pace for pace, and essentially walking on each other's feet, going so fast they start to fly and go up. Yeah, as stupid and crazy as it looks, in the same fashion is also pretty darn cool. Darkseid though isn't just going to watch and let this happen. So right before Sonic is able to put the last emerald in and successfully activate whatever machine they were building, Darkseid uses his Omega beams and it interferes. So Sonic, thinking quick, in the heat of the moment he changes the plan. With all the emeralds here, he decides to activate them all and gain its power, turning into Super Sonic, which essentially is just a new form that multiplies everything Sonic can do times 10, 100 even, in which now deciding to engage Darkseid in a one-on-one. Yeah, Super Sonic fighting Darkseid. If you would have told me this was going to be an official crossover comic from DC and Sonic a year ago, I would have said no way. Yet here we are. Even still though, as Darkseid fights back, you can call it being smug, or you can just call it Sonic being that powerful, but he goes on to tell Darkseid that he hits like a featherweight, which is all fine and dandy, but this still leaves the problem of fixing everything here. Reality is still collapsing in on itself, and now that Sonic has taken the emeralds, everybody has to think of a new plan. Thankfully, the machine still has residue energy, golden energy, from all of the emeralds, yet it's still missing something. It needs that last push, that last bit of energy to fully activate. And the main difference between someone like the Flash and Sonic, sure, Sonic is fast, but he's just like naturally fast. He doesn't have any other source of power, unlike the Flash here, who was connected to the Speed Force, one of the 7 fundamental forces of the universe itself, which should be pretty sufficient to get this machine up and running as long as the other heroes can stall Darkseid for as long as they can. And speaking of which, they're doing a pretty good job as everybody just goes on to jump Darkseid, not letting up for a second to let him regain his footing. From Superman to Super Sonic, Shadow, Wonder Woman, etc. Eventually Darkseid has had enough. He gets annoyed, telling everyone that he will suffer no more further indignity as he starts to shift and change. Now, it's pretty vague and not fully explained what exactly is he doing and what's happening. Like, is he still siphoning off some of the energy from the Chaos Emerald he had before? Is this just him unleashing his full power of the Omega Sanction? We don't know, but what we do know is it is incredibly powerful and incredibly dangerous, as instantly with this one move, Darkseid is now on the winning side. Wonder Woman even going on to say he's bringing down the very fabric of reality. If this continues, they will all cease to exist. Though being the proclaimed fastest man alive has its perks, as before Darkseid can fully ramp up his power and just completely decimate and atomize everybody there, suddenly the Flash has built enough of the Speed Force to activate the device, using it and not only separating the two universes, but rewriting reality to set everything straight, getting rid of Darkseid, his forces, and everything that he tried to do and destroy. Of course, in the process, sending everybody back to their rightful homes and rightful Earths. The Justice League reporting at each of their own cities, Metropolis, Gotham, Central City, the Watchtower, etc. But even Sonic and the other heroes back on his Earth. So seemingly in the end, everything got resolved pretty neatly. It even being revealed that because Darkseid and his Ragnarok, his little mini planet, was in the center of the whole ordeal, it lost its anchor point between time and space, and he's not going to be bothering anyone anytime soon. But the real kicker is, even though Darkseid and his plans were stopped, there are still many other great threats, not only in the DC universe, but in Sonic's world as well, as we see this universe's version of Lex Luthor teaming up with Dr. Eggman, because of course the two geniuses were easily able to reconnect the link in portals between the two worlds, and now they team up a glorious new partnership to bring both worlds to their knees. But yeah, that was the Sonic x DC crossover. And honestly, the main appeal is the actual Sonic and Flash interactions and speed racing. Even though we didn't really get any sort of concrete answer, not like it would even mean anything, because this isn't even the main canon version of Flash or Sonic, but it would have still been a cool nod to have a definitive winner and definitive fastest creature thing man alive. But if you've enjoyed watching, leave a like or subscribe if you're new and want to see more content just like this. As always, this was AJ here at The Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.